Master emotions in public speaking. Unlock the secrets to delivering powerful presentations with poise and confidence. In this engaging short clip, discover the importance of identifying and managing emotions before, during, and after your presentation. Explore various techniques to control your emotions and behaviors. Through storytelling, visuals, and real-life examples, you'll gain practical insights to transform your public speaking skills. Don't let anxiety hold you back. Take control of your emotions and shine on stage. Meet Sarah. She works for a multinational company, and today she has to make a presentation about the last project she coordinated. Like many of us, she feels a whirlwind of emotions before stepping up to present.
What if I mess up? What if they don't like me? What if they laugh about my presentation?
Anxiety is a common response, affecting roughly 30% of the adult population. But here's the good news. You can control these emotions. The key lies in identifying and managing your emotions before, during, and after your presentation. Start by identifying your emotions. Are you feeling joy, curiosity, or maybe concern and anxiety? Remember, you are the only one responsible for what you feel, think, and how you behave. There are several types of techniques you can use to master your emotions, and they all fall in those three categories: cognitive, behavioral, or emotional. Let's dive into some of those techniques and learn how you can better control your emotions during presentations. Some of the most known cognitive techniques for emotional control include rational analysis, double standards disputation, catastrophizing scale, devil's advocate, and rephrasing. The first cognitive technique, the rational analysis, involves asking yourself three types of questions: logical, utilitarian, and empirical. If you are doubting yourself and your abilities, if you are putting yourself down and wondering whether people will laugh at you, you should also ask yourself the following questions. Is it logical to think this way? You cannot make a rule out of one situation, so if you once had a bad presentation, it doesn't mean they will all be the same. Is it useful to think like this? If these thoughts do not help you, change them. Is there proof that things must be as you wish? For something to happen, you have to make an effort. So instead of putting yourself down, redirect your time and energy into preparing for your next presentation. The more you prepare, the better it will be. It won't be perfect, but you will have more control over your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. A second cognitive technique is called the devil's advocate, and it involves reversing roles with a friend or colleague to contradict any possible wrong beliefs. For this, make a list with your beliefs and give it to someone else, and vice versa, and then dispute with the others the dysfunctionality of those beliefs. This way, if you have any anxious thoughts about a future presentation, they could be disputed by someone who is less anxious than you. A third type of cognitive technique is called rephrasing. Basically, it involves changing the way you see and phrase a certain situation and make it less bad or less anxious. This allows you to reevaluate the events by changing your perspective. From unbearable or awful, an event gets to be perceived as only disappointing or unpleasant. Have a look at this table and see how the initial perception can be changed with rephrasing it. In the initial perception, one might think that life is terrible when things don't go my way, while rephrasing that thought would say that life doesn't care about my opinion, and some things are out of my control. This does not mean that life is terrible, just unpleasant in certain situations. I can certainly find countless reasons to be thankful for what I have. Feel free to pause here and read all the examples and the way they are rephrased through this technique, and then apply the new learned skill to your situation. Moving on to the emotional and imagery techniques, we have the time projection or the explosion technique. Time projection involves imagining yourself how your life will look like after a certain amount of time. Let's imagine that you had a presentation and it went bad. No one listened to you. You forgot parts of your speech and more. At that very moment, everything seems pointless. However, if you imagine your life in several moments in the future, you will realize that things won't be that bad and that time does heal many wounds and problems. Imagine and describe in detail your emotions, thoughts, and behaviors regarding the failed presentation. One day after the presentation, 1 week after, 1 month after, 1 year or 10 years after. You will certainly notice that what might seem now as unbearable, it will be less bad 1 year from now or even 1 month from now. The second emotional technique is called the explosion, and it involves exaggerating the situation you're in. If you have to make a presentation and you're worried that things might go wrong, approach it with a grain of salt and joke about it. For example, if you think that the worst-case scenario would be to forget a part of your presentation, then the exaggeration would be to imagine forgetting the entire scenario. Or, instead of having a problem with your presentation files, you could be in a situation where the electricity doesn't work anymore. You get the idea. The third category of techniques are the behavioral ones, and here are some worth mentioning. Exposure, shame attack, or reward postponing. The exposure technique is one of the most used ones in behavioral change, and it involves exposing yourself to the situation you are afraid of. So, if you are afraid to speak in public, that's what you have to do. If you are afraid of making a fool of yourself, that's what you do. You make a fool of yourself in a controlled manner. This way, you slowly expose yourself to the fearful situations and become more adapted to failures and success. You don't have to deliberately mistake an entire presentation. Instead, you just allow yourself to make a small mistake and learn to live with it. This is particularly useful for those who strive for perfection. The shame attack technique involves opening yourself up to a shameful situation, as long as it is not dangerous, illegal, or morally problematic. So, don't jump from a skyscraper, steal something, or do something immoral just because you think it would embarrass you. Instead, do something that takes you out of your comfort zone and enlarge this comfort area. This way, you learn and you grow. If you are afraid to speak in public, do just that. Talk to someone in a store, then increase your group or audience, and day by day, learn that you get better at doing the things you were previously afraid of. These are only a few of the psychological techniques used for emotional control while making a presentation or speaking in public. Try these techniques every day and see how you can transform your public speaking experience. The character we mentioned in the beginning of this clip, Sarah, refers to any of us. Every person, in one moment in life, experienced some sort of unease with speaking in public. Fear of speaking in public or glossophobia is widespread, and anyone can experience it. But it can also be controlled with simple, daily exercises and techniques. Go through the 3 types of techniques presented in this video and learn how to control your emotions, conquer your anxiety, and captivate your audience, starting today. If you liked this video, subscribe to our channel, give it a thumbs up, and share it with your loved ones so that they too can improve their lives.